evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dance Discourse Project, number 4, here at Counterpulse. Is there anyone who's here at Counterpulse for the first time tonight? Welcome, welcome. Well, I will tell you that Counterpulse has a whole range of programs, from performances to workshops and classes to political discussions. If you're here for the first time, I encourage you to sign our mailing list and come back to other events. One of the events that we've been doing for about a year and a half now is called the Dance Discourse Project, and it's a series of discussions that we produce with our partners, Dancers Group, on all kinds of different topics around dance in the Bay Area, and we describe dance fairly broadly. So I will introduce you in a moment to Mary Armentrout, who is really the person behind starting this program. But first I want to talk just a little bit about, first some housekeeping, which is that we are recording this for podcast and also to be on TV. So you had a moment to sign some releases when you came in. The other thing is that we want you to talk into a microphone. Patrick, do I have like some kind of reverb going on? No. Huh, okay, I'm just hearing, sounding strange. We want you to talk into a microphone because when you ask your questions, we want to make sure that those get recorded as part of the podcast. In thinking about this subject, we got together with the panelists last week and had dinner, and we talked about why use technology with our performance? What makes it better, different, more real than just doing it on our own? And we came up with a list of things, which I think is a good way to frame the discussion. One of them is representation, that you can bring something into the room that isn't here physically via the use of video or other technology. One of the things that it can do is to enforce interaction and connection. We can have live connections with people who are not here. We can have live connections with the audience. One of the things we talked about is that we're all attracted to the newness of technology, that it keeps evolving, and as we're evolving performance, it can evolve hand in hand with our performance. Some of us talked about using technology as a muse, that it in and of itself can be a source of content, and also that it can spur a dialogue about the realities of our lives, which are very much wrapped up in technology. And we talked a little bit about what it would be like to go without our computers for a day or a week. Terrifying. One of the other things it can do is it can make time mutable, that we can bring the past and the present, and possibly even the future, into the same space. One of the other things we talked about is it can call attention to our own liveness through juxtaposition. And these artists, I think, all use technology in their work for varied reasons. And there are as many tensions as there are opportunities. So I'm going to turn this conversation over to Mary Armentrout, who is, as I said, the parent of the Dance Discourse Project, also the chair of the board of Dancers Group, who will talk a little bit about some of those tensions and also introduce the panelists. Mary?
Thanks, Jessica. My name is Mary Armentrout. I guess the problem force behind this Dance Discourse Project, which I'm glad to be. It's great to see you all here. I just want to, first of all, say that one of the main aims for me in doing these Dance Discourse projects is to really have it not just be us here in the fancy chairs talking to you guys, in the non-fancy chairs, but hopefully it's a dialogue where we all get to talk. And so our fabulous artist panelists here will talk quite a bit, but I want you guys to feel very, very welcome to talk and bring up your own questions and thoughts as well. We try and make a lot of room for that and feel it's a really big part of this project. So at the moment, my task in this Dance Discourse Project number 4 around dance and technologies is to say, yeah, it's kind of great, you know, dance and technology, it's a really interesting new realm of things, and it's all kind of fascinating and cutting edge, whatever that means. But on the other hand, it actually is kind of problematic, and I want to just draw out a little bit of the problematic aspect of it for you to help you kind of think about this larger issue, perhaps. So there is a man named Philip Auslander, a contemporary performance critic, and he describes this kind of problematic relationship between dance or any kind of live performance and technology this way. He says, live performance and the mass media are rivals, not partners. Neither are they equal rivals. It's absolutely clear that our current cultural formation is saturated with and dominated by mass media representations in general, and television in particular. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And he goes on further to say that, to put it bluntly, the general response of live performance to the oppression and economic superiority of mediatized forms like TV has been to become as much as possible like them. From ball games that incorporate instant replay screens, to rock concerts that recreate the images of music videos, to live stage versions of TV shows and movies, to dance and performance arts incorporation of video. Evidence of the incursion of this mediatization into the live event is available across the entire spectrum of performance genres. So suddenly there's this big fight going on between this fabulous live thing that I like to do called dance and all of these other forms. And we're in some big struggle between these two things, and it's a question of who's going to be able to have dominance, perhaps. And so I think that just some sort of sense of the conflict between these two things, and the way in which there's perhaps a threat to the very notion of live performance, the way that live can get subsumed under these layers of technology is the thing to think about. The way that performance artist and actor Eric Bogosian puts it is live performance, live theater, he thinks of it as medicine for a toxic environment of electronic media mind pollution. Theater clears my head because it takes the subtextual brainwashing of the media madness and shouts that subtext out loud. Theater is ritual. It is something we make together every time it happens. Theater is holy. Instead of being bombarded by a cathode ray tube, we are speaking to ourselves, human language, not electronic noise. So I think that's, again, another way of hearing this conflict. And I think that all the artists that are going to talk tonight have very, very deep and interesting things to say about this, because I don't think for a second that it's going to stay in this moment of black and white conflict, that it's this incredible process of integration and all of this kind of manipulation of forms that will help us understand how we can create the new parameters of being human. So I'm hoping that that will be a nice little frame for you guys to help think about what we're up to tonight. Okay. So we have wonderful artists to talk to you. We have Sara Kraft and David Slaza and Lisa Wymore and Sheldon Smith, collectively known as Smith-Wymore Disappearing Acts, and also not collectively known, separate in their own rights. And I will turn it over to Sara Kraft.
Yeah. So we're going to each give a little brief presentation about ourselves, an introduction to ourselves, and show a little bit of our work before we open the discussion, so there's some context for those of you who don't know our work. And I just realized I didn't actually have this queued up, so let me just cue this up. I'm going to mostly show this first, and then talk a bit, because I think sometimes it's just easier to let the work speak for itself a little bit, rather than me having to try to explain it. So I'll just say really briefly, I'm going to show some short clips from, I've been making multimedia, I've been making performance for many, many years, and I've been making performance that integrates various media and video and multimedia in various ways for over 17 years. And then it's sort of increasingly integrating newer and newer technology and more complex interaction between media and live performance over the years, and particularly in the last few years. So the work I'm going to show you right now is an excerpt of a piece called Remote that some of you may have seen, that I made with Ed Perver, who I collaborated with for the last few years as Kraft and Perver. And these are just a couple of short clips from what ended up being an evening-length piece, which Lisa actually is in these clips, some of these clips. So